I wanted to talk about London and what are the top things that I find here that you can't find anywhere else. And you're probably thinking to yourself, what are you talking about? It's high inflation, it's cost of living crisis, it's the economy is at an all-time low, people are struggling, there's no jobs, there's no opportunities. There's nothing that can keep me in London. But I've been living in 3 different countries in the past 10 years. And when I compare them all in terms of the living, the culture, and so on, I find that London has so many good things as well, as much as it has bad things. But that's going to be another video. I'm going to talk about what I dislike about London in another video. So you should wait on that one for sure. But now I want to focus on the top things that I really like. And I think number 1 is definitely diversity. I used to live in a very small town in Sunderland in the UK, and there wasn't a lot of diversity there except international students that are coming into the town. And being here in London, you see people from different cultures, you see different food, you can get anything you want. You can go to Brixton and have Jamaican food, then you can go to Northwest and have an amazing Japanese cuisine, then you can go down south and have some South African things that, like, it's full. Number 2 is mentality. I think in London people seem to be more open to others and more open to opportunities. People travel as well a lot more because it's quite connected while you're here, because you can basically go anywhere you want from London. And I feel like a lot of people travel a lot and they learn from those experiences. So when you are meeting them, when you talk to people here, everyone has a very flourishing life. Whereas I remember in Sunderland, it used to be like people had to go to Spain or Italy and that would be it. And they'll go back home and they'll be with their families. So there's not too many new friendships that were made there. Whereas here it feels like you can meet so many different variety of people and make friends with everyone. Like, you can have people that are creative, people that are from different countries, and so on. Which brings me to point number 3, and that's art and creativity. I think London is one of the art capitals of the world. There's a lot of museums that you get never bored. You can go out even by yourself and you're never bored. I've seen so many museums. I've been to the Design Museum, National History, British Museum, and you see things from all around the world there. And then just like a walk away, you can go to the main city where all the financial district is and so on, and then you can take the tube and go to Piccadilly Circus, where it's like the city, like the city busyness as well. There's a lot of art. I recently picked up my camera, my Sony camera, and I went out and I realized that for 1 year I was very bored of London, and then as soon as I picked up my camera and I started taking street photography photos, and then I was reviewing those photos, and I realized how much art there is in London. Like you can grab a camera and you can take some incredible photographs here, but you can't do it anywhere else, and you can't do it in other big cities as well. There's certain type of culture, certain type of style that London has that I can't quite explain. Because you see the historic houses, but you also have the city. You also have the city mentality, which makes London so special. Because on one hand you have places like this, for example, and then on the other hand you have skyscrapers. It's a very interesting city. Brings me to point number 4. It's opportunities. When I was in Sunderland, I remember struggling a lot with money and struggling a lot with jobs as well. You end up working jobs that are low paid, even though the cost of living in those cities is fairly low. You end up earning lower salary. So one caveat about the UK is if you move to a city, to different city, your salary is most likely to be based off that different city. That city is not going to be based off your skills or experience. It's going to be based off that current city's cost of living. So that's one thing that I'm going to say for another video. But regardless, if you're in London, I would say quadrupled, no, 7 times my salary that I used to earn in Sunderland since I've been in London. Even though the cost of living is quite high, to rent a place here, if you want to be by yourself, you're gonna spend about 1,700, 600 to live comfortably in a 1-bedroom place by yourself. So you need to be earning more than that, way more than that, to be able to afford it. But it's essentially it's a place where you pay a lot of rent. That's true. And as well, I'm gonna save the bad things for another video. But the opportunities that you're getting when you are at work, and also business opportunities are making up for that as well. Point number 5 is one of my favorite things about London. I am very I'll say cosmopolitan person, if that could be a word. It's a place where you get every single thing from the world. So because it's very commercial, you can go to places that you want to eat at. For example, I'm a big fan of Five Guys burgers and fries, and I can just grab a burger whenever I want, and I enjoy being there and having the convenience of that. Then you can go to stores like the Nike store, for example, if you want to get shoes, or if you want to go to the Apple store, you can go and see the newest things that are available there, and you have it on your disposal at all times. Also the convenience with companies, like when you're shipping something and you just want to drop it into a store, the stores have this program that you can just go into it, and you have like 100 stores around you. So whenever you want to ship something, you just go to a store and you say, ship this for me, and you get a label, and it's done. And it's because London, right? It's because everybody is living that fast-paced life and they want convenience around you straight away. to be able to do your thing quicker. Next point is food. We talked about the cuisines, right? But being able to go to a street market that's walking distance from your place, in almost every neighborhood in London has a street market that you can just walk to and get some incredible food that you wouldn't get if you're in a small city. You have to either drive or you have to go to a place further away and so on. So having these convenient markets around here, like today at work, for example, I ate almost every time I go to work, I eat at the same place. It's this market called Tackbrook Market, and they have fresh falafels, fresh chicken wraps. They open up at 6 a.m. in the morning and they serve, and then they're ready for lunchtime. It's packed and it's very cheap to eat. Whereas I remember when I was in Sunderland, even though the city is very cheap, you can't really find any good things that you can eat on the street, right? Street food is supposed to be cheap, but anytime I was out there, you would spend about 10 to 15 pounds on food, because either it will be from a food truck of a business, a restaurant, or anything that is doing that, or it will be a restaurant, which in the restaurant, the products that they have actually are not as good quality as they are in London. Which brings me to the next point. The restaurants here is, I've recently been going to a couple, and it's been an incredibly enjoyable experience. I've had an amazing Japanese food. I've had also, for the first time in my life, I went to a Michelin star restaurant, and it was great. I thought I wouldn't like it because I'm a fan of burgers and a fan of a little bit of sushi as well. A fan of street food, huge fan of street food. And it makes me, when I went to that place, I felt a little bit out of place. However, it allowed me to see the side of London that I was never able to experience. And the service, the experience, the food was delicious. They made it to the touch for you to enjoy. The wine was incredible, and so you get these things because you have the accessibility here in London to do it. Another thing is I like activity and I like sports. I can find people to run with whenever I want. I just go on an app and there's a group that's running every day somewhere in London, so you can always find new friends to do your hobbies, whatever that is. Whether you like cooking, you can find cooking groups. Whether you're into knitting, you can find knitting friends. If you're into running like me, or climbing, you can find a climbing group. So tomorrow, for example, I'm going to a climbing wall that I would never be able to go to if I was in Sunderland, for example, or if I was in another city in the UK. Maybe Newcastle would have that, but it will be far away for me to go and do it. Now here, I have a climbing wall about 5 minutes cycle from my place. Not even 5 minutes, about 2-3 minutes. And we're meeting up with 15 people tomorrow to go climbing. And it's that benefit that you get from here. It's the accessibility. It's the ability to do the things that you like in a convenient time and still be able to enjoy your normal life too. And lastly, the connections from London. We talked about traveling. Not only airplanes and like flights, but also a train. Like you can take a train and go to Brighton if you want and pay £10 to go there. And you can take a train and go to, like I'm going tomorrow on Sunday, to Seven Sisters. So I'm going to be making a video from there as well. to see the Seven Sisters National Park. I've never seen it before. I've been here for a long time. I've never seen it before, and it's only a train ride. It's an hour and a half from here on a train to Seaford, and then you go and you're doing a hike, 8 hour hike. Now that of course is a point where it's not too valid for all other places in the UK, because you have Lake District, you have Snowdonia, you have so many amazing scenery here that you can see, but it's I'm talking from experience in London, you're quite connected. And with flights as well being a major thing, you are you're also very connected to being able to go to any place I want. Like I'm traveling to Austin, Texas in about 2 weeks and a half, and I am catching a direct flight from Heathrow, which is basically an hour from my place by train. So I wake up at 9 o'clock, I go to the airport, and I leave at 12. And that convenience is key for me, being able to travel with no hassle. And I remember when I was in Sunderland, I would travel, if I wanted to go to a country in Europe, for example, I would have to take a train, go to London, and then from London I have to wait here and then go to the airport, and then from the airport I would have to then fly out, which added about 10 hours on top of my journey. And if you imagine, if you have a flight at 6 a.m. or 7 a.m., there's no way that you can catch it. If you're from another city in the UK, you have to take a flight that's in the afternoon. So that convenience part for me was really important, and I quite enjoy it, and I take full advantage of it. So to me, that summarizes it. Why London is a cool city, as much as it's very expensive, and there's a lot of things that are not okay for sure in terms of the economy, cost of living, rentals, parking, and so on. I can talk about these things in another video, but it's generally London is a place that I now know why so many people are moving into here, why there's 8 million people living here. It's because this is I can say that this is the only place in Europe that you can get as much opportunity as you will get here in comparison to any other country, if that's the right thing to say, in Europe. Because I don't know if any European places is as flourishing and as interesting, as culturally diverse, as active as London is. And we see that from a lot of international investment as well in London. Lately I've been seeing a lot of American investment here in London. There's a lot of Americans, there's a lot of Canadians here that are living, and it's fascinating to see people are moving in here because they see the benefits of living in this place. It's like they see that it's fun, it's interesting, and people still do it to this day. As much as we're into our lives and we're thinking, where is our next move, what are we doing, how can we plan our next moves, we need to take a second as well and realize that this place is also special, just like every other place you've lived in. You can see the benefits, and you can also see the bad things about it. So tell me if you live in London and if you've seen and experienced any of the things that I've said, and so tell me if you disagree with any of them, and try to add anything more as well that you've seen. Hope this was interesting and simple insight into my top things why London is an interesting city.